Welcome to the Coffee Hour, a show that involves you in verbal interaction. We have the 2020 feature, sports with Brian Camp, and entertainment news with DJ Pete. So settle in with coffee in hand, and enjoy the Coffee Hour. Now here's your host, Frank Allan.
TGIF, welcome, and thank God it's Friday. Here we are once again, meeting around the breakfast table or wherever you may meet each week. My name is Frank Allan, everybody, and welcome to the Coffee Hour. As I said, each week at this time, between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern, we provide you with programming. We come each week into your homes, on your job, or anywhere that you can get together with friends, relatives, or whatever. We're here right here every Friday. And we thank you so much for being along with us. It's a Friday, and of course, it's the 28th day of April. And of course, tomorrow is the last day. We go into a brand new month and everything seems to be looking good. And summer is coming up in a lot of places, hopefully weather-wise, good. We'll tell you all about that later. We're going to give you our weather forecast here in New York. And we thank you for those of you who are with us. We want you to know that we're everywhere around the world, no matter where you are. We're broadcasting live right now on YouTube and Instagram. Usually it's on Facebook, but of course the jail term of us being on Facebook has been lifted or will be lifted. Technically tomorrow it will be lifted, but we won't be back on the air on Facebook Live until Thursday night when we do Talk Back Live. And then again, the following day on Coffee Hour. So that's the way it stands right now. We're not live on Facebook, but when we finish the program later on, this show will be posted. It will be posted on Facebook for those of you who haven't been following and checking us out on the live circuits like YouTube here and Instagram. And for your benefit, we will post the show. And it's not like it's live, but at least you'll get a chance to see it. And then a lot of people haven't been following, maybe because they were unaware that we were off Facebook for quite a while. We were off initially for 59 days. If you round it off, that would be 2 months. And so it's all been lifted. It will be lifted starting tomorrow. We're going to check that out. I'm going to have one of my people check it out tomorrow morning. It should be lifted at that time. And in which time, as I said, we will be back live on Facebook starting Thursday night when we do Talk Back Live. And then again, of course, when we do the Coffee Hour the following day. But it's so glad to be along with you. I want to wave to you guys, say hi, and you guys on Instagram for being with us and putting up with us for so many years doing this show. And we just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Coming up later on in the program, we've got the 2020 feature as usual. Brian Camp with the latest developments in today's world of sports on Sports Update. DJ Pete, of course, does entertainment 22 the hour. And he does entertainment news and recite all of those birthdays of the people of notoriety. Now, here's the deal. We're not sure. We're going to wait for Brian to come in. We're not sure. He's in a position right now where he's not sure whether he'll actually check in or not. But the good news is that we do have his information just in case he does. So the 2020 feature starts at 20 past the hour. The first that to the max. We invite you to say anything that you want to say. If you have anything, I guess maybe questions about the show, or you just want to chime in with a conversation and we could all mingle together and do that, that would be great. But those of you who are going to chime in, we're going to ask you if you can give us your weather forecast. We would love to have that, wherever you are. But if you're from New York, don't worry about that. I will take care of that. And so the story goes. And again, thank you for being with us right here on the Coffee Hour. So many things to do today. Later on, too, we're going to give you that information about the those great movies that you like so much. Those classic movies, those black and white films that go back a long way and jog your memory. Well, we have some from Turner Classic Movies that we're going to give to you. We're going to convey that to you later on in the program, which will add to your bucket list of what to do or your things to do for the weekend. Now, you may have a lot of things going on for the weekend, but we just want to make this an addition just so you'll have it, because we would love for you to have those great movies. They're great movies. I'm going to tell you about that later on in the program. And of course, all of that's coming up, acknowledging birthdays and everything. And as I said, we'll acknowledge DJ Pete's part of the show of the 2020 feature. So I just want to also give out those prayers and our thoughts out to the people from Ukraine who are fighting the fight right now. You know, there's a war going on, and something that doesn't really need to be had right now, but it is going on, the war between Russia and Ukraine. And we just want to send our thoughts and our prayers out to the people of Ukraine. So many lives were lost. There were a lot of survivors. A lot of them were able to move and go across the border and be with other family and friends and people, even strangers, you know, once they get across the border, took them in. And a lot of the husbands who are fighting here right now send their wives and their children over so they could be safe. And a few of the wives took their children over across the border to be with people so they could be safe, and came back to the Ukraine with their husbands. So it works, you know, differently, you know. But again, we want to say our prayers and our thoughts to all of the people who are fighting the fight in Ukraine. So ladies and gentlemen, as usual, what would the coffee hour be without a little coffee? So ladies and gentlemen, excuse me while I shoot up. Oh, that's delicious. That's great. That's marvelous. I really enjoy that. Okay, so you already know that I mentioned that we're going to be back on Facebook, and I can't wait to get back on it. I really can't wait to get back on it. I mean, even though we were doing live, we're still doing a live program, but a lot of people, we have a lot of people on the part of Facebook. And of course, a lot of them, they probably didn't know that we were on. A lot of them probably thought we were off the air completely, and we were off the air, but not knowing and not realizing that, of course, we're still doing the show live and doing it on YouTube and Instagram. A lot of people probably didn't even know that. Although what we do each morning, early in the morning, we post the ad to let you know that we're going to be on, and we give you the link to actually where we're going to be. And all you have to do is click on that link, and of course, right here, a lot of you may have done that, and we thank you so much for doing that. Now, if you are watching us on YouTube, I would like you to do it. You can do it right now, as a matter of fact. I want you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You go there, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and what you'll find is that every time we broadcast live or we send as much as a video or something to that nature, you will be notified. It will pop right up. Let's say, for instance, if you're on line right now and you're doing something and you get that little notification saying, hey, you know, coffee hour is on the air right now. And all you have to do is just click on that icon right there and it'll bring you right there. We also, for those of you who are watching us on YouTube and not Facebook, of course, Facebook, when we finish the show, we're going to rebroadcast the show again for the benefit of the people who are not on the side of the live show, and they can get to see it later. So we try to keep things in perspective and try to keep things going and try to make sure that you're still aware that we're here. We're still here and we're not going anywhere. So I want to thank you so much for that. There you go. You already heard that President, I don't want to leave the show without mentioning this because it's very important. Vice President, I should say, Kamala Harris contracted contracted COVID-19. She did that, but she's doing well right now. She's doing well. She's in quarantine. She's still working, and she's working from home. And she hasn't been near the president, so for his safety. And so, you know, everything is looking good right now. The good news about that is that she was already vaccinated and boosted twice. So kudos to the vice president. So she's going to be fine. It's just a matter of her just staying away for a few days and then getting back to work later on. I don't even know what the extent of the days are. Is it 5 days or 10 days? I'm not sure. I have to knock wood because I have never contracted COVID. Not that, well, let me put it to you another way. Here's the deal. Vice President Kamala Harris didn't have any symptoms, but, you know, being in office, in the office that she holds, she's going to get tested frequently. And it's just this one time when she got tested, she tested positive. And that's how she found out, but she didn't have any symptoms. So what does that tell you? It's a possibility a lot of us could have had it. I don't know. Maybe I've had it at one particular point. I do know I took a test not long ago, and it came out negative. So okay, that's good. But who's to say that, you know, because you don't get the symptoms, and Kamala Harris is the proof right there, didn't have the symptoms, but they contracted the disease and doing well at this particular point. So that tells you is that maybe you should frequently get tested, even though you may not have symptoms, and you don't want to pass it along to anyone else. And all you have to do is go to get boosted, I mean, even if you weren't vaccinated, yet, well, that's the first thing you have to do, to get vaccinated. Even if you didn't get vaccinated for the first time, well, it's time to do that. And then you get boosted 6 months afterward. And then you think about the second booster. Okay, so, you know, we're just waiting around for that. And of course, you already know there's already 3 vaccines on the market. You already know that. That's the Pfizer, Moderna, and the J&J. That's J&J, that's Johnson & Johnson. You have those. So you choose whatever you want. They're all effective. They all work. And what's ever available, please get it. So we continue to tell you about that. Okay, so there you are. If you're just joining us, it's the coffee hour. It's 12 minutes past the hour right now, and it's the coffee hour. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, don't make it your last time. Make it your weekly habit. We're here for you. We love to engage you in conversation that we have and get things going. So ladies and gentlemen, again, excuse me while I shoot up. We talk about so many things about the social media, and we talked about Facebook already, and I'm glad that we're on our way back. But you heard about the news, the latest news on Twitter. Here's a young man, and I say young man because I look at him and he looks young. His name is Elon Musk. You ever hear about him? Do you know who he is? Elon Musk. Well, if you don't know who he is, you will know right now because I'm about to tell you. He just acquired Twitter for $44 billion. $44 billion. So he is going to be, or is the new owner. And it's one of those things where probably who previously owned Twitter probably decided they were going to sell out, and conglomerates do that a lot. They either sell out or if they figure out, you know, maybe not their ownership is not for them and they just want to go into something else, or maybe even good price. The seller for $44 billion, that's a good price. And of course, as you already know, it's obvious that everybody's a billionaire. Well, not everybody, but everyone who owns these social media conglomerates, they're in the billionaire bracket. And so obviously, Mr. Musk may sit back and say, oh, I know what to do with that kind of money. It's kind of like endless money, you know. But yeah, that's what happened. And, you know, saying all of that, it kind of like a lot of people are concerned about that. Now that Twitter is being sold out to another person, it leaves you to wonder. Because remember some of the people, and I mentioned this on Talkback Live last night, people who were previously on Twitter, they had Twitter accounts or bounced off Twitter accounts because of a lot of racial overtones, sexist overtones, and things like that to offend people. And so Twitter decided, well, we're going to take them off. I don't have to mention any names. You know, one in particular that's real famous that was bumped off Twitter because of the rhetoric. And they decided that they weren't going to use that anymore. They weren't going to take it anymore, bounce him off. He wasn't even bounced off Facebook. All right. So it's a possibility that he won't get back on Facebook again. However, him and other people like him were bounced off because of these rhetorics, you know, that they spew out on the internet, and it offended a lot of people. Now it's even offending a lot of women. Women are more worried about this than anyone else because, you know, when all this was going on, there were a lot of things said against women. Women should be doing this, women should be doing that. They should stay in the kitchen, in the bedroom, barefoot, and, you know, so forth and so on. You heard the story before. It's a sick story, but you heard it all before. And that's not the case. And that's not what it will be, even though you have people who still think that way, but that's not how it will be. And so, and of course, if you're going to continue to think that way, then you might want to consider going on to another planet where they may have those things provided for you, you know. But here on Earth, on planet Earth, let's come down on planet Earth and be real. This is the 21st century, and people are at least trying to do the right thing by acknowledging women and we do have to acknowledge them. We do have to take care of them. They're just as human and just as productive as men. Let's keep that in mind. But again, you have people, you know, say, you know, let's pull it back. You know, they shouldn't get the kind of money we're getting. You're doing a particular job and you're getting good money for it. And if a woman does that job, she doesn't get that kind of money. So what's that all about? Anyway, women are kind of concerned about that. Will they or will they not reinforce what Twitter did in the beginning? Will they, or will not reinforce it? Will they? We don't know. We don't know if they'll reinforce it or not. But here's the deal. If they don't reinforce it, that means some of the people that were off Twitter all of that time, you know, and spewing out all of the hatred and all of the bigotry and the sexism and all the isms that you could think of, just may come back. Because this new man that acquired $44 billion to pay for Twitter, to buy Twitter, his attitude is, you know, freedom of speech is freedom of speech. And I agree with that. We should all have freedom of speech. But, you know, something, you have to do that responsibly. You have to do that very responsibly, because you got to remember that there are a lot of people that you say something to that get very offended about it. So I don't know how long this is going to last. Let's see what happens. We could only wait and see what happens with this to see how it all pans out. And I'm just curious on how it's going to pan out. We were doing so well with it, but, you know, things happen when people sell out, other people buy, and then changes are being made for the better. Maybe the name of the company will be changed. Who knows? Things happen. So at this particular point, we're going to only have to wait and see exactly what's going to happen, how this works out. We have to see. Because, you know, already know that even people on Facebook who have accounts, some people are sticking with it. Some people do it religiously. Some people do it professionally like I do. And some people, they don't want to do it because of the drama that's created every day. And it has been a lot of drama on Facebook every day. And not just Facebook, but all of social media. There's a lot of drama. And people have a tendency to want to shut down, maybe not close their Facebook page permanently, but just shut it down for a while just to get away from the drama. And then maybe later on come back and see if it improves. But at this particular time, nothing has improved. I'm sorry about that. What do you say we go to Charlotte, North Carolina? The weather is good over here. Let's see how the weather is over here. Brian Camp did decide to come in. And as usual, he comes in every week at this particular time. His first part of the 2020 feature is here on 2020 features with the latest developments in today's world of sports on Sports Update. And of course, he has a lot to talk about, I hope. He gave us a lot of information last night. So we're going to see if we get some information for him today. As soon as he comes up, we'll see if he pops up and see what happens. Yes, he did pop up. There he is right there. And Brian, you got some clouds overhead.
Yeah, we got some clouds. Yeah, I'm on this here show called the Coffee Hour. Can you explain to everybody what's happening today?
Hello, everybody. We're having a wonderful day with the Play 360 with the Charlotte Panthers, Carolina Panthers. As you can see, our wonderful class. They're coming out here to help the kids stay active, and it is a wonderful day here in Charlotte.
And what's my job today?
To be the boss.
He
is the boss.
Just to take pictures.
Yeah, he's here to document everything that's happening, and it's such a good day. You know, in COVID and all this, the kids don't get outside and play, so we're just here having a great time. Like, look at all this fun that they're having out here.
You know, as I look at
it.
Oh, yes. Yeah, well, actually, he's the boss, but you know.
Yeah.
But yes, we're here with the kids here at elementary schools for grades 4 or 5 are here today. But I'm going to give you a brief sports update on Major League Baseball. First of all, it's 66 degrees out here in the Queens City. It doesn't get any better than this. They got music. They got the Carolina Panthers truck here. But it's just amazing. The teachers are here. Teachers that don't usually smile are smiling today because they don't have to teach in the class. But I'm happy because the kids are happy. So that's why we're here. But in sports, Major League Baseball teams are allowed to carry 14 pitches now. You believe that? 14 pitches through May 29th. The reason for that is because of the lockout. The NFL draft continues. Rounds 2 to 7 will be on ESPN. Check your local listings for what time and when your team is being chosen to pick. Quickly, New York Yankees are in trouble. Yes, I'm just going to shorten this here story. They were accused of steal signing, just like the Houston Astros back in 2016, 2017. But nothing definite yet. It has just been rumored. But a letter went around, and Brian Cashman, the general manager of the Yankees, have been notified. So they're doing an investigation. I don't think nothing will come of this at all. So this day in sports, April 29th, the year 1892, Charlie Riley is baseball's first pinch hitter. 1934, Pittsburgh is the last major league city to play a home game on a Sunday. 1961, ABC's Wide World of Sports debuts. Remember the Wide Worlds of Sports? These come on every Saturday. The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. Yes, well, it debuted it back in 1961. 1981, the Major League Baseball, Steve Carlton is 21st lefty to strike out 3,000 batters. And in 1986, the Boston Red Sox, Roger Clemens strikes out 20 Seattle Mariners. And finally in 1990, Dan Quisenberry, all-time save king, announces his retirement. So, and that's sports. That's a brief summary of sports, but I tried to do the best I can to give you a lot more information. But right now, we got plenty of basketball coming up for the weekend. Playoff basketball, hockey playoffs is about to start too. So check your local listings for your team and channels and the time that they play. And my movie picks. Got one movie pick. I didn't mention it last night, but I got one movie pick. Frank Allan failed to realize. This is a classic. It's an all-star cast from 1970. Kelly's Hero, starring Clint Eastwood, used to been known as Dirty Harry. Telly Savalas, the one that used to suck the lollipop on Kojak. Yeah. Donald Sutherland. His son plays as Keith Sutherland on the TV show 24 back in the some years ago. Don Rickles, Mr. Warmth himself, and Carol Archie Bunko O'Connor is in this too as well. And there's two more people that we never really heard of. George Savalas, who's the brother of Telly Savalas, is in this. And Larry Rickles, the son of Don Rickles. I didn't notice him until I did my research last night. So Kelly Heroes. Oh yeah, let me tell you, it's going to be on TCM tomorrow at 5:30. So that's a classic. Make sure you watch it, and that's it for me.
Okay, you know something? I have more movies for the weekend too. But thanks for that information, and thanks for your sports. And I see you in a hurry. I just want to say one thing though, that as I look at the background with those kids, it makes me feel young again. I want to go back on the field now.
Oh yeah. Oh, these kids got a lot of energy. These parents are going to thank me and these teachers here because when they get home tonight, they're going to go straight to bed. A lot of energy. They're going to go straight to bed. So yeah, lots of energy. They did this yesterday, so they are going to be nice and tired. They might stay up late for a little bit because it's Friday, but they're going to be nice and tired.
I can concur. I concur with that. Okay, Brian, look, I know you got to get back. Thanks for coming in and doing your sports, and we will see you back here next week.
Yes, everybody have a safe and blessed weekend. Make sure still wear your mask. That's still important. I got mine on, but I'm outside, so I can get away with it a little bit. I'm fully vaccinated with the booster, so everybody got to do the same thing and still do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Okay, have a good one.
Take care.
Take care. Go Yankees. Go Yankees. I have to throw that one in. He didn't mention that. He mentioned all that negativity about the Yankees. All right, which I'd love to see a New York World Series. I would love to see that. I haven't seen that in years. Remember? The Yanks and the Mets doing the World Series. That's going to be interesting. And not only will that be so interesting, it would be a moneymaker for New York. I mean, people will be coming from all over. Four games to none. I could say that. I didn't do anything. I didn't do any harm, right, by saying that. But I would love to see a New York World Series. I really would like to see that. And the like I said, the city would get rich. They would really prosper with that kind of people coming all over the place to watch it. The stadiums will be packed. Of course, it'll cost you a fortune to get in. You already know that, right? Baseball is not like it used to be. The prices are not like it used to be. Nothing is not like it used to be. I remember growing up as a little kid, I used to go to Yankee Stadium and at that time, Shea Stadium, you know, because I loved baseball. I couldn't care less what the team was playing. It was a New York team. I went to see the Mets play in Flushing, New York. I go to see the Yankees play in the Bronx and packed the stadium. People packed the stadium every weekend, and the prices were back in those days, even though it was a lot of money back in those days. But if you look at it today, you can say, wow, that was dirt cheap. And I remember going into, I always have to have the best seats when I go to a baseball game. Always have to have the best seats. And my best seats was right behind the Yankee dugout. I always had to be behind the Yankee dugout. And back in those days, I think box seats were like $8. That was a lot of money back in those days. All right. When I was coming up, a lot of you younger people wouldn't even know that because you're paying like what, close to $90. I think something like $450, $250. Yeah, $250 or something like that. I don't know. And the upper decks, way on the upper decks. Now there are a lot more today. And then if I didn't have that, I would go to the bleachers. How much were the bleachers? The bleachers were 75 cents. 75 cents. There you go. 75 cents. And we had a good time because I used to be out there hoping for a home run to be hit out in center field, and I'm sitting in the bleachers. And with the bleachers, you know, it's like when you go to the bleachers, you could sit anywhere you want back then. I don't know how they do it now, structure it now, but back then in the bleachers, you could sit anywhere you want, any section you want in the bleachers, you know. And I always made it a point to sit next to the Yankee bullpen and the bleachers. But that's when I was going to the old Yankee Stadium. And always made it a point to go sit next to the Yankee bullpen and watch them warm up when they were needed to go out there on the field to replace someone. And I met my heroes out there. One of the big things that knocked me out when I was a kid is that Mickey Mantle actually waved to me, you know. Now, Mickey Mantle don't wave to anyone. You know, I don't know why I was a chosen one, but I remember one time sitting, I think at the time I was sitting in the reserve seats, right? And that's close enough to the field. That's above the box seats, right? And, you know, you're sitting up there and doing warm-up. Before the game, they always have warm-ups. You know, they're warming up, taking batting practice and all of that. And Mickey Mantle was out in the field, and I was out in the, you know, where I was sitting was out in the outfield section, and went down to the ramp to the guardrail, leaned over the guardrail and called Mickey Mantle. I said, Mickey. I didn't think he was going to say anything. He looked up where I was, the voice, I guess my voice really traveled. He looked up and he waved. And because back, if you called them, because it was a distraction, if the fans would call them by name, they wouldn't even look up. You know, if you were that close to them, they wouldn't say, you don't talk. You know, that was a basic rule. And they felt that if they did that, it would distract. How ball in the outfield and throw it into the stands. You know, so when someone will have a souvenir, some lucky kid will have a souvenir. They didn't do that back in those days. In order for you to get a baseball, they have to hit the home run or a foul ball or wherever you were sitting, and then you can catch it then. Make sure you have your gloves. People used to bring their gloves with them, you know, and I used to do that too. But those are the days, and I'm rambling along about sports because that sports takes me away, but those were the days of baseball and the New York Yankees. So again, Yankees go Yankees. They have a game, I believe they have a game today, but it's not gonna be on the Yes channel. But for the rest of the games, the rest of the weekend game, Saturday and Sunday will be on the Yes channel. So I look forward to those games, but I can still keep up with the game today as they have it, because after the game last night, they just flew out there. They just packed their grip and jumped on a plane I think they're in Kansas City. So we'll see what happens. If you're just joining us, the name of the show is called Talk Back Live. The name of the show is called The Coffee Hour. My name is Frank Allan. And of course, we will be with you up until the top of the hour. And of course, Brian Kemp already wrapped up his portion of Sports Update, 20 past the hour, the 2020 part of the 2020 feature. DJ Pete is coming in. Well, he won't be here, but we'll be covering for DJ Pete because DJ Pete is having all of that. But again, in case you're just joining us, we thank you for being with us. And I couldn't stress this enough. If you are watching us on YouTube, there are people on Instagram watching right now, but if you're watching us on YouTube, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, and that would be great. I push that. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I hope you do, and we look forward to it. Not too far away, a couple of minutes, we'll have that information coming from DJ Pete. Also, as I said earlier, we have those movies that you like, those Turner Classics, which is a good Kelly's Hero that's coming on. And of course, you get a chance to see that. But that's not on Turner Classic Movies. The rest of the stuff that I have is on Turner Classic Movies, and I think you'll like it. And we'll have all that for you. I want to keep reminding you too, ladies and gentlemen, too, but we push it here. And it's a matter of choice. And everyone should have that right to their matter of choice. And if you have that choice, your choice is not to get vaccinated, then that's your choice. I don't hate you. But as a matter of fact, I love you because I want you to be healthy. That's why I keep pushing my idea, still pay you anyway. And when that exhausted, they called everybody back and said, when you come back, make sure that you're vaccinated, give us a proof of vaccination, and won't be any problem. And they liked him very much, but he refused to get vaccinated. And so he was at the age now. I said, look, you're at the age now where you can retire. You can retire early. You don't have to wait until you're 66 years old, which is like the actual retirement to collect. But you can collect early as 63 years old. You're a baby boomer, so you can collect at 63 years old, you know? So if you're 63 years old, you can collect your benefits. And he didn't turn 66 yet, I don't think, but he's collecting. He says, well, I might as well just, collect and sit back on my duff and enjoy the fruits of the labor, So he was working at two different stations, by the way. He was working at, he was a disc jockey on one station and an engineer on another station. And they both required that he be vaccinated. All right. And he said, no, he said he'd rather not. And he said he would rather retire before that happens. So people do get around it, and I'm going to call him today just to shoot a fact. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's the coffee hour. Frank Allan here. And of course, we have now that information. DJ Pete has left us. DJ Pete, he normally comes in and does his bit, his part of the 2020 feature, 22 the hour, and give us information of notoriety. So here we go. Let's get it started right now. DJ Pete Entertainment segment. Here it is. April 24th, born in 1942, Barbra Streisand celebrates a birthday. So happy birthday, Barbra Streisand. I am so partial to Barbra Streisand because she's a Brooklyn girl. Yay for Brooklyn. And she was born in Williamsburg. I lived in Williamsburg. I don't know if we lived at the same time. I don't know. It was so many years ago. She lived on Pulaski Street in Williamsburg. I know Pulaski Street very well. And she lived there. And she was born and raised there. And I lived on the other side of Pulaski Street. So yeah, we were kind of neighbors. I don't think we lived there at the same time, but I know the deal. Anyway, Barbra Streisand, she's a very familiar person, a very familiar face, sings like a bird, still has a great voice today, still looking good. And I love her. I always did love her music. Barbra Streisand, she's 80 years old today. Oh, well, she turned 80 years old on the 24th. She's 80 years old and doesn't look a day over 40. She looks great. She looks great. Anyway, happy birthday, Barbra Streisand, and many, many more. I hope she lives to be another 80 years old. Barbra Streisand, I love her. Okay, moving down the line, we have Ella Fitzgerald. Oh, now she's a singer of all singers. This is star-studded right now. She was born April 25th, 1917. Ella Fitzgerald, the American jazz singer, queen of scat. Can't out-scat her. You can't do it. A lot of women try to out-scat her. They can't do it. It can't be done. It's impossible. Can't be done. I'm not going to say it's impossible because nothing is, but it's going to be a hard nut to crack if you try. But people try. But she was the queen of scat. She still holds on to the title now, even though she's no longer with us. But anyway, she was born April 25th, 1917. She passed away at the age of 79, June 15th in 1996. 1996, and she was a friend of a lot of people, played with a lot of people. And her favorite people was Louis Armstrong and Frank Sinatra and so many other people. Had a great swinging band behind her every time she played. She was friends with Tony Bennett. Anyone you could name, she was friends with in that era. I mean, back in those days, entertainers were like close-knitted. It's hard to say what they're like today. Okay, also born on the 25th, only this time 1913, Earl Bostic. Earl Bostic, now that may not be a familiar name to you, Earl Bostic. Earl Bostic, an American jazz alto saxophonist and a pioneer. He was a pioneer of post-war American rhythm and blues he played. And he goes back there, and this is the day of Ella Fitzgerald. There's no doubt in my mind they were friends. He would have been celebrating a birthday. He passed away October 28th back in 1965 at the age of 52. So that's an early death. And these days, 52 years old, that's a youngster. That's real young. Anyway, Earl Bostic, happy birthday in heaven. Remember Dwayne Eddy? For those of you who are in the age bracket of moi, remember Dwayne Eddy in the rock and roll days. Dwayne Eddy was born on this day in 1938. Dwayne Eddy played a guitar, that nice guitar, and he played back in the rock and roll days. Dwayne Eddy was also an actor. You caught him every once in a while on a Western or something. And Dwayne Eddy is 84. He turned 84 years old. And he's an American rock and roll guitarist. He was playing rock and started from the late 50s to the 60s. And so I'm pretty sure he's retired by now, enjoying the fruits of his labor. But he played, believe it or not, he was playing on the Peter Gunn theme. Remember the Peter Gunn theme? He played guitar on that. And so many other hits that he had back in his day. I mean, remember one of the biggest hits he had that I used to play on the air was called, let's see if I can find it here. It's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yeah, he did hit the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but he had a lot of great hits. Rebel Rouser. That's the song, Rebel Rouser. Now that's a familiar song to you. Remember watching Forrest Gump? Remember Forrest Gump? All right, the movie with Tom Hanks, right? Remember the part when they were chasing him in the truck and he was running and you could hear that guitar playing, down, 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 down. Well, that was Dwayne Eddy. Sorry, I couldn't get the beat and keep the tune and focus right there. But that was Dwayne Eddy. So he did a lot of stuff. So happy birthday, Dwayne Eddy, wherever you are. Here's the sex goddess herself. Anne Margaret celebrated her birthday just yesterday, as a matter of fact. Anne Margaret turned 80 years old. 80 years old. Anne Margaret, she was a singer and actress. She played in movies with Elvis Presley. She also played in that movie with Bobby Rydell, Bye Bye Birdie. By the way, they became close friends and they celebrate their birthdays 2 days apart. Bobby just celebrated one, but Anne Margaret just had a birthday just yesterday. And I said 80, but she's 81 years old. And I remember watching Bye Bye Birdie. I was a young kid at the time going to watching these movies and watching, I went to see the matinee and Bye Bye Birdie. And as soon as Anne Margaret came out, it was like all of the guys started yelling and screaming, oh my God, it's just like the girls were knocked out by Bobby Rydell and the guys were in the section rooting and cheering and screaming for Anne Margaret. But Anne Margaret is still alive. She's still alive today. She's 81 years old. Happy birthday, Anne Margaret. Love to have her on the show one day. And Anne Margaret was married to actor Roger Moore, I believe. I think it was Roger Moore, right? And he passed away since too. Okay, moving right along. Today is the 29th, so that marks the day of Big J Neely. Big J Neely, also a rhythm and blues jazz saxophonist, and he vocalizes as well. And he goes back in time. He was born on the 29th in 1927. And he lived a long time. He would have been 95 today. And he passed away September, not too long ago, September, a couple of years ago, September 16th, 2018. And there you go. He did a hit record back in the early 60s. Now, a lot of you who are younger would never really remember this. You wouldn't remember it because of the fact that she was so young. But back in the 60s, the early 60s, he did a hit record called "There's Something on Your Mind." Of course, I remember it, and I'm not ashamed to tell you that I remember it. So yes, I do remember it. Okay, and let's see. Oh, what else do we have here? Hassel Atkins, born On this day, celebrating a birthday, 1937. He was born on that day in 1937. He passed away April 26, 2005 at the age of 67. And he was an American songwriter and a singer, and he played multiple instruments, played a lot of instruments. And he was like in the rock and roll era too. And played right through the Great Depression. So we go back a long way. DJ Pete, he goes back a long way with this stuff. You know, he brings all of this stuff out. So, and we're glad to, you know, just to report it for him doing it. And let's see, Duke Ellington. Here's another man everyone knows about. I don't even have to tell you too much about him because you already know about Duke Ellington. He was born 29 on this day, 1899. He would have been 123 years old. Duke Ellington, jazz, right? Had his own band, Ellington Band. I love the album that when he got together with Count Basie back in 1962, he did a album with Count Basie, two big, giant, big bands together. That's a lot of fire. And he did an album together. They did an album first time. First time the Count meets the Duke. Love that album. And screaming brass all over the place. If you were a singer, you'd be frightened out of your mind with all of that brass behind you. So happy birthday, Duke Ellington. And thank you for giving us your all in all when you were here. Also, Willie Nelson today is celebrating his 89th birthday. Willie Nelson was born on this day in 1933. And of course, Willie Nelson, actor, singer, country singer, and On the Road Again. He's famous for that one, you know. So happy birthday, Willie Nelson. And thank you so much for your service and all of your great music. And finally, born, well, tomorrow will be the birthday of Johnny Horton. Johnny Horton was born April 30th, 1925. And he's no longer with us. As a matter of fact, he passed away. Let's see, he passed away November 5th. That was a day before my birthday. November 5th, 1960. And the day after I turned 10 years old. Johnny Horton, and he did a big hit back in there, back in the days. He did like honky tonk country. He did all of that. And he had a big hit, did rockabilly. He had a big hit back in the early days called let's see, what did he have here? It's listed here, but I can't remember on here. The Battle of, is it here? Sink the Bismarck. That's the classic. Sink the Bismarck. That's what he had. Gotta sink the Bismarck. So that was his big hit back there. And I believe it was the early 1960s, late 50s, something like that. Not sure too much. So anyway, those are what we have. DJ Pete left us. And those are the birthdays and the acknowledgement of all the people who lived through those years, and some around, some no longer around. Thank you, DJ Pete, for being with us. We hope DJ Pete will come back with us next week. You'll see him live here. And by the way, DJ Pete is a disc jockey. You know that, right? That's why we call him DJ. And DJ Pete has a show. You can catch him on www.radio-airwaves.co.uk. And you can catch him on Mondays from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. You can also catch him on his hometown station in Portland, Maine. That's where he lives. He's on a station called WMPG. That's WMPG Radio. And of course, it does, you have no excuse. You don't live in Portland, Maine, no excuses. They do have a website, www.wmpg.org. And you can catch him there every other Tuesday between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern time. And all of the time zones right there are Eastern and in the UK and the United States. Now, DJ Pete will give you that information on his show. When you listen to his show, he has that, all of that information and more. And plus, he plays the music of all of these people. So that's a good show to listen to. I listen to it all the time. I love it. You know, when I was doing Music Beat, that show Music Beat, I never went back that far because I was only doing music of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. But he went back farther. He went back to the 20s and the 30s and the 40s. He went back, had that music. He had a great collection of great music back in that era. And plus he played some of the stuff that I played too. Okay, thank you so much, DJ Pete. And we look forward to listening to you on the radio. Okay, if you're just joining us, it's coming up to 4 minutes to the hour. We have 4 minutes left before the show is over. But before we do that, we want to let you know that we do have those classic movies that, of course, you love so much. All of you love those classic movies, right? I love them. But before we do those classic movies, let me quickly run off some birthdays that we're celebrating today besides the ones I just told you. Actress Irma Thuman. She's celebrating a birthday. She's celebrating a birthday. She's 52 today. Connie Wilson of Wilson and Phillips is 54 today. Actress Michelle Pfeiffer is 64. Actress Kate Mulgrew from Star Trek, she's 67. Jerry Seinfeld is 68. Singer and songwriter Tommy James is 75. Tammy Terrell, who's no longer with us, would have been 77 today, a singer from Motown. Singer April Stevens of Tino and April Stevens, right? Did that tune called Deep Purple. She's 86 today. No longer with us, Rob McCune, who is a songwriter and a singer and wrote a lot of stuff for Frank Sinatra. He would have been 89 today. Latin musician Ray Barretto would have been 93. Actress Celeste Holm would have been 105. And Donald Mills of the Mills Brothers would have been 107. Happy birthday to all of you living and no longer with us. And those of you who are not with us, happy birthday in heaven. And I could see them up there jamming and acting and playing right now. So happy birthday to them all. Okay, let's quickly tell you about those movies. Those Turner Classic movies. And let's see if we have them right here. Yeah, okay, so we do have them right here. Okay, so this is what we have for the weekend. Before we wrap up, I'm gonna do it right quickly. If you are looking for some great movies for the weekend, here's my pick of the weekend. Laura from 1944, Gene Tierney and Dana Andrews. That's coming on Turner Classic Movies. You can check that out Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern when you come back from church. I mean, you'll have it right there too. How to Marry a Millionaire with Marilyn Monroe, Lauren Bacall, and Betty Grable back in 1953. Of course, that comes on Sunday too, right after Laura. And that's Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on Turner Classic Movie. And finally, we have a classic that I think you all enjoy. It's called Imitation of Life. This is the remake from 1959. The original one was 1934, and that's coming on next week. We'll tell you more about that next week. But this one, and you can compare them too, which one you like better. This one I like better, with Lana Turner, John Gavin, and of course, Juanita Moore. And that's coming on this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's Imitation of Life, and I think you're going to enjoy it. Let me repeat those movies again. That's Laura, Gene Tierney, and Dana Andrews. How to Marry a Millionaire with Marilyn Monroe, Betty Bacall, Lauren Bacall too, and Betty Grable. And that's Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Of course, Laura is 1:30 p.m. And then Imitation of Life, all right? That's Sunday. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. I hope you enjoy them. It's time for me to get out of here and make the scene and start my weekend because it's about time. I did that. But I want to thank you all for being with us so much. And I want you guys to check us out next week. We'll be back here next week, of course. We'll be back here next week for more of the coffee hour. It's you, me, and the rest of us. I didn't give you my weather forecast, but that's okay. It's not that important. Next week, okay? And also, you can check me out, my show called Talk Back Live every Thursday between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern. Brian Camp will be with me with the latest developments in today's world of sports, of course. And of course, like the 2020 feature here each week on the Coffee Hour with Brian Camp and DJ Pete. You guys have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend, and I'll catch you back here soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
You've been watching the Coffee Hour with Frank Allan. The producer has been Al Dale. Technical assistance, Dave Taylor. Research by Sandy Pierce. And I'm your announcer, Donna Stenke. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Coffee Hour.